How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. We can fly the W once again in another chilly event at Wrigley Field. The Cubs battle back and take a 10-6 victory away from the Texas Rangers, one of the best teams in baseball, record-wise at least. We're going to break down the game, and then we guys are going to give you a preview of game number 3 today at Wrigley. But before we get into all that, I want to appreciate everyone who has watched the videos, liked the videos, and subscribed to the channel. We appreciate all of you. Comment down below. Should the Cubs delay Shota's start today so he can face the Dodgers on Friday? I'm curious to hear your guys' answer on that one, but we'll discuss that tomorrow even further detail. So, the Cubs win yesterday 10-6, and it was kind of a back and forth affair, right? But the Cubs bats remain hot. The previous 3 games, they scored 7 runs. Yesterday, they scored 10. This is an unbelievable run the Cubs are on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just try and enjoy it at our best, because there's definitely going to be days where they do not score that many runs. But being patient at the plate, timely hitting, leads to a lot of success in baseball, no doubt about that. But hot bats eliminate the cold weather in Cubs' thrilling victory, as I like to say. The Rangers jumped out 2-0. I was like, oh, here we go. Because sometimes there's just those games in baseball, right, ladies and gentlemen, where, like, especially after you've won 4 or 5 in a row, like, some days you're just going to get got over 162 games. And I thought that day was yesterday, but then pretty much immediately following a 2-0 trailing, they score 3 more runs, and then they let the Rangers tie it, and then the Cubs answer with 3 more, and then the bullpen gives up another 3, and then boom, Cubs drop 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th and pretty much put the icing on the cake in that one. An absolute total team effort. Pete Crow Armstrong had a couple hits. Kyle Tucker continues to stay hot. Seiya Suzuki raking. We're going to get to both those guys later on in the video, but either way, ladies and gentlemen, an absolutely great victory, and the Cubs going for the sweep once again. But like I said in a previous video, the keys to this series, right? If we have Steele, Taillon, and Shota going, it's got to equal 2 of 3. Well, we've already got 2. Let's go for 3 today. Let's talk about Taillon's performance yesterday. Again, he gave up 3 earned runs, but it didn't seem, like his best stuff, but he still went 6 innings. He struck out 6. He only walked 1. 5 hits. Not totally all that bad, in my opinion, for Taillon. I think it's technically still a quality start in the eyes of baseball purists, but either way, I didn't feel like it was his best stuff, but Cubs got the win. That's all that truly matters. Hopefully Taillon can bounce back. I don't think he's going to be playing the Dodgers. He's going to be playing the series after that. So Taillon, very solid, and the Cubs get the victory. So that's all we can ask for, right? That's all we can ask for. He got some good swing and misses. There was the one pitch to Wyatt Langford that he did just absolutely hang over the middle. And Wyatt, one of the best young hitters in baseball. If you don't know his name, you will know it later on down the road. No doubt about it. Absolutely deposited into the left field bleachers. But it was a battle throughout. Again, when it's less than 50 degrees at Wrigley, it is not a fun place to play, ladies and gentlemen. And the over-under, I believe, was set at 8. They shattered the over in that game. But does not surprise me if maybe like today it's a very low scoring 3-2 game or 4-1 or something of that nature, because usually bats don't operate that cleanly in this kind of weather conditions. But Cubs get it done, and Taillon was good enough today, and that's all we can ask for. And again, not every start's going to be great, not every start's going to be perfect. It's, when you don't have your best stuff, how do you react? How do you pitch? And Taillon did a fantastic job. Still got through 6 innings, got to the bullpen. Again, I know, that's a different issue for a different day, but it's all about finding ways to win, and the Cubs did just that. So, Game 3 today, the finale of the series, is going to be at 1:20 Central Time, Marquee Sports Network or MLB.TV, however you guys watch. Shota versus Tyler Mahle, and another chilly one, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a high of 44 degrees here in Illinois, and I imagine that the wind will be blowing in, because that's traditionally how it goes here in April. So let's take a look at the pitching matchup. Shota has been absolutely fantastic for the Cubs. The Cubs are 14-3 in his starts at Wrigley. I expect that trend to continue. Tyler Mahle's only pitched in 1 game. He was very solid for the Rangers. They're 8-4 currently, so I'm imagining that he got them a win. But if you take a look here, ladies and gentlemen, low ERAs, right? Low earned runs per game. But take a look at the whip. Shota's not allowing a lot of base runners. Tyler had a little base traffic, let's just say it like that, in his one start. So the Cubs, as long as they remain patient at the plate, continue to get guys on base, maybe, just maybe, the Cubs could get the Tyler Mahle. And again, over 18 innings, Shota has been absolutely incredible for this Cubs team. So I'm excited to watch him pitch today at Wrigley. And I think the Cubs should be able to sweep the Rangers. I mean, it's nice to feel confident in your team going into every single game. Are they going to win every single game? Absolutely not. But I don't want the good times to end. So why shouldn't that not continue today with the sweep of the 2023 World Series champion Rangers? The Rangers don't get to see all too much of the Cubs in general, and they don't get to see all too much of Shota. So it might take a few innings for the bats to adjust to him, and by then, it might be too late. Tyler Mahle, I believe, is a former Red, so the Cubs have seen him a few times before. So maybe we have that advantage on that front with this matchup. So Shota versus Tyler Mahle, 120. That is the wrap-up. And then tomorrow will be an off day for the Cubs. Hopefully that doesn't cool down the bats in this instance. We got to talk about the 2-3 punch, though, of Suzuki and Tucker. You guys have heard of the S&P 500. I'm calling it the S&T 500. This has been an absolute catalyst for this Cubs offense. They're both slugging. Kyle Tucker's OPS is well over 1,100, which if you look at the best OPS seasons of all time, if you hit over 1,100, you're having an all-time great season. No doubt about it. He's on pace for well over 40 home runs, which the Cubs have not had in a very, very long time. And that does excite this guy right here. Suzuki having one of his best offensive seasons. I know he was disappointed not to play right field, but guess what, Suzuki? We need you to focus on hitting. We need you to focus on the bat, and you're doing just that, my friend. 3 hits yesterday, driving in a couple runs as well, and this offense just continues to roll. I know earlier this week, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signed a 14-year, $500 million deal with the Blue Jays. Got to keep him in Toronto for essentially the remainder of his playing career. That's good news for Kyle Tucker because that man's about to get paid. And I know the Cubs have never done it before, but again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time to break the bank. Kyle Tucker is a top 4 outfielder in baseball. Let's just be honest about it. You got Judge, you got Soto. If you want to consider Shohei out there, I know he does a pitcher DH, but Kyle Tucker is right there next to him. Gold Glove defense, just an all-around great baseball player, great eye at the plate, the whole 9. And obviously, Seiya has not had a year like this offensively. And guess who he's hitting in front of and behind on some days? Mr. Kyle Tucker. So if you want the rest of this lineup to be supplemented well to the power of one bat, pay Kyle Tucker's money. Give him 10 years, $450 million, and just be quiet about it. You're going to make your money over tenfold with all of the games people are going to be attending, the playoff games, etc., and heck, maybe even a World Series title to boot as well, if we can keep Kyle Tucker on the squad. So, Tucker and Suzuki has been absolutely incredible for the Cubs. Michael Busch has been our 4-hitter, and he's had a very solid year so far, very solid, but generally speaking, traditionally, the 4-hitter is also one of your better hitters, but if the 2-3 is going to be Suzuki and Tucker, they're going to continue to do what they're doing. The Cubs are going to have a lot of wins this year, ladies and gentlemen. So that's going to do it for the video today. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. Go Cubs, go.